Hello everyone, this is Chantel from glutenfreecooking123.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make Mediterranean rice, or as we like to call it, ras mfalfal. Now this is a very simple recipe. I know you're probably saying to yourself, rice? I don't need to learn how to cook rice. The bag can tell me how to cook rice, but this is not just rice. So in Mediterranean rice we put some seasonings, and we also use noodles. So right here I have 2 cups of long grain rice, and this rice is used in a lot of Mediterranean dishes as an accompaniment as an accompaniment for a lot of Mediterranean dishes, especially Lebanese dishes. I don't know if other Mediterranean cultures have the same type of rice that we have, but this is what we have. And also right here I have some gluten-free thin pasta and thin spaghetti, sorry. And now this is not my favorite brand. This is made with white rice, brown rice, corn, and quinoa. My favorite brand is made with brown rice. But this is what I have right now, because you're going to need thin pasta. Sometimes I do use Asian rice, and Asian rice pasta, and that's okay, but I find that I don't like the color, and it's not thick enough for like the texture. And then the thick ones, even after you fry them and you get them to that beautiful golden color, they turn back to white again, and I personally like to see the pasta in the rice. It's just something that I like, and I mean it still tastes good, but you can use that if that's all you have, and sometimes that's all I have and that's all I use. But what I prefer is the brown rice pasta that's thin pasta. You don't want it to be really thick, because it's going to absorb a lot of water, and it's also just going to change the texture of the rice. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rinse our rice. I like to rinse it with room temperature water, because I don't like the rice to start cooking until I actually put it on the stove. You're going to rinse it for about 3 times. Now, if you're intimidated about you doing what I'm doing right here and draining your rice like that, you could always use a sieve. But that's what I've been doing for years. And here, I have a sieve right here. This is a fine sieve, so the rice can't go through it. You don't want to use a colander unless it's a really fine colander. I think that's good enough. I'm going to dry my pot, because I'm going to be reusing this to make the rice in it. So I have a medium pot right here. I'm going to turn the stove on high just to dry it, because it has a little bit of water. And then, or I could have dried it by hand, I suppose. Here, I'll do that just to speed up the process. There we go. First I'm going to put it on medium low. No, not low. It's like medium high. It's about 4. I have all the way up to 10 on my stove for temperature. So I have it on 4 right now. And I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. If you like less, you could add less. I like a little more, so I'm going to add a little more. So I actually added 4 tablespoons of olive oil, but on the recipe on my blog I have 3 tablespoons if you want it to be a little healthier, you know. But for this rice, I like the fat in it, and If you don't want that, that's okay. Okay, so we're gonna heat our oil, and meanwhile, we're going to add our pasta. So you can break it up away from the pot, but this is what I just do. You can add as much or as little as you like. I like a lot of pasta in it, not too much. It's about, I put about 1/3 of a cup of pasta, and I make them about 1 inch to 1/2 inch long. So I'm going to break them up and put them directly into the oil. Oops. You don't want them to be too long, because then when you're trying to to serve the rice, you will have long strands of pasta, and yes, they will break up probably as you're doing that, but it's just not, it doesn't look very nice in the rice. And this doesn't take much time really. It's really easy to do. You just give it to your kids and they'll do it for you. Try to keep it in the pot. Add a little more. I personally prefer them to be a little thinner, but they don't make gluten-free pasta out of brown rice that's as thin as I'm used to, because the way how I used to do it when I wasn't gluten-free is I would use these really thin pasta that are already broken up, and those swell up, you know, but the rice pasta that you use, the Asian rice pasta, like the white ones, they don't really swell up. It seems like they just get longer. Use whatever type of pasta you like. I'm just giving you suggestions. So I'm going to turn up the temperature a little bit on medium-high. And you're just going to let it sit and brown until it becomes golden brown. So I don't know if you guys can see. This is right now I just put it on the heat, and actually I'm going to add a little bit more pasta because I like more, and that's not really 1/3 of a cup. And you want it to become golden brown. Now some people and some Lebanese chefs would say if you're making it for a certain dish, you want it to become super dark. I don't like it to be super dark. Of course they use the wheat pasta, but even that, I personally don't like the pasta to be super dark. I just feel like it just tastes burnt. I'm just gonna let it cook here, or brown I should say, for about 5 minutes or so, until it reaches the color that I want it to be at. Okay, so my pasta's almost about reached the color that I wanted to reach, and you want to be constantly stirring it. I did turn the stove up on high just because I'm in a hurry and I want to finish with this quickly. But it is better if you do kind of like let it cook on a medium heat, and you have to keep your eye on it. You don't want it to burn, because it really does not taste good when it's burnt. And once it reaches the color that you like, or like this golden color, that's when you want to add your rice. So it's almost there. I just want it to be a tiny bit redder. Okay, there we go. Let me bring it closer to you guys. So this is what it looks like. So they puff up as you fry them in the oil, and then they turn white. Well, at least this type turns white. Most of them do, actually. Most gluten-free pasta turns white, and then they start browning. So that's kind of the color that I like them to be at. And if you don't have your rice ready, you want to take them off the heat. right before they reach the color that you want them to reach, because otherwise they're going to continue to cook once you take them off the heat, because don't forget they're in hot oil. And then once your rice is ready, you put them back on the heat, bring them up to heat, and then add your rice, because we are going to fry our rice with the pasta. Now you don't want to fry your rice for too long, and you don't want to do that on high heat either, because if you do fry the rice for too long, it is going to get hard, and even after you boil it, it will never really become soft. I know from experience. So you just want to stir everything together. I'm going to add my salt right now. And we're going to need a tablespoon of salt. You might think this is way too much, but it's rice and it can take the salt. If you like less salt, you can add less. If you like more salt, you can add more. It's all up to your liking. And this is really what cooking is all about. You want to get the dish to taste to the way how you like it. You know, you get the main recipe and you follow it, and then you just tweak it according to your own taste buds. Because we all like different things. I like salty food. I like sour food. And very few people do. I'm just going to do this for like 2 minutes, and you want to almost constantly stir it. You don't want it to sit for too long because it will burn. And like I said, if that happens, it will become hard and it won't be, it's not going to cook right. 1 to 2 minutes, not necessarily 2 minutes. And today I'm making something called Unhulled. This is a Mediterranean dish, and I will be also posting that recipe on my blog, and then I'll make a video about it. Gluten-free cooking is really not hard. You just have to understand how it works and, you know, understand the basics. And this is what I'm trying to teach you guys, so that you're not intimidated, especially if you're new to gluten-free. I know I was when I was new, and it took me 2 to 3 years to actually start feeling comfortable and feeling like I can actually eat food. And then I started experimenting and making new recipes and all that. And this is why I'm sharing this with you guys, because I don't want you to go through what I went through, and also I can teach you new recipes. So it's about the right place that I want it to be at. Let me show you. Don't want to burn myself. So that's how it looks like. And then we're going to add our water. This is just slightly hot. I don't know why, but it doesn't have to be. You could add boiling water if you want to speed up the process, but I'm going to add just lukewarm water or room temperature water. I'm going to add 4 cups. Because that's what my rice needs. And I usually add a tiny bit more than 4, just because the pasta might absorb some of the water. You don't want to add too much water, because then your rice will become mushy, and I personally don't like mushy rice. Okay, I ran out of water here. I'm going to just get a tiny bit more water, maybe like a couple tablespoons, and add them in here. I don't like to stir it too much after I add the water, because then what happens is all the pasta tends to float to the top, and I want some pasta inside the rice. You can come right before it is all the water is evaporated, and then just stir it up a little bit. I personally don't like to do that, because I like that layer of oil on top where the pasta's oiled and the rice is oiled a little bit, but that's all up to preference. If you want your pasta to be well incorporated into your rice, you can, like I said, always come back right before the water is about to evaporate. You want to have a little bit of water in there and just mix it up, flatten it, and then cover it up again and let it cook. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn my stove up on high just to bring it to a boil. Now once it reaches a vigorous boil, we're going to bring it back down to medium low. And what I like to do, because I have an electric stove, is I heat up my small range on level 2, or that's medium low, and then while this is reaching to a boil, this way my stove would be the right temperature for my range, would be the right temperature for the rice to continue cooking. And what I notice about electric stoves is that they take quite a bit of time to go to the temperature that you want them to reach, the temperature that you want them to reach. And that's why I prepare another range or another eye while this is getting ready to boil. That's why I like gas stove better, but unfortunately we didn't have gas stove here, and that's okay. So that's what I use, and you can learn that tip. Okay, so my rice is now vigorously boiling. Let me just show you. I don't know if you guys can see it. I think you can. Okay, so now it's time to take it off this large stove here. I like to, a large stove top. I like to put it on a smaller range. If you notice, this is a bigger one, about twice the size as the one that I just moved it to. And that is because I find that if you let it cook on the same size range as the pot, it tends to dry out fast, and then the rice doesn't reach the texture that I want it to reach, and it stays hard a little bit, and then you have to add more water and cook it longer, and that just kind of messes up the rice. So we're going to cook the rice for 30 minutes, and after the 30 minutes I'll come back at you and I'll show you how it looks like. So the rice is done cooking, and let me just show you what I was talking about before. As you can see, there's a layer of the pasta on top, and that's not a lot, so that's okay. I would have preferred it if it was a little bit more on top. It actually seems pretty incorporated in here because I didn't stir it too much after I added the water, and that's what really helps. You don't want to stir it really after you add the water. You just kind of like want to flatten it out so that it doesn't dome or form like a weird shape in the rice. Yeah, so that took half an hour, and now it's done. And right here on this side I have my Mediterranean yogurt soup cooking, and it's called Leben Immel. Like I said, this recipe will be on the blog also eventually. Okay, so this is it. It's really hot right now. I don't know if you guys can see the steam. Yeah, so and I don't see a lot of oil in this. Some rice tend to absorb it more than others, some types of rice. I would have added maybe a little more oil. So I'll put that note also on my recipes, and the recipe for this Mediterranean rice will be on my blog. You guys can access it, and I'll leave the link down in the description box for it so that you can easily go to it. So good. I love this rice just on its own or with some yogurt. I don't like rice in the food. What I usually do is I put the rice on the side in a different bowl, and then I kind of dip it into my food because I don't like it to expand and kind of get all mushy. So this was the gluten-free Mediterranean rice. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe, and I hope you will try it. And if you are a Mediterranean person, I'm sure you appreciate that. I hope you do. And it's just, as you saw, it's just super easy, and we serve it with a lot of Mediterranean dishes, and my son likes to eat it on its own. My mom used to serve it to us sometimes on like days that we just wanted a quick lunch or whatever, and we would eat it with some yogurt, and that is really refreshing, especially in the summer. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. And please don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you are new to this channel and you want to see more of these videos, and also hit the bell if you want to receive notifications whenever I upload new videos, and don't forget to hit the like button so that more people can see these videos and learn how to cook gluten-free. So don't forget guys, gluten-free cooking is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode.